What is up, guys? This is Godzilla Suplex, and welcome to today's episode of UFC Zilla, where I'll be talking about one of the most wrestling-eccentric matchups we have ever seen in the UFC. Much hype going towards it, and that is the wrestling fanatic Ben Askren versus the Jiu-Jitsu legend Demian Maia. Oh man, this is gonna be a really great matchup. Two of the best UFC takedown and wrestling artists going at each other, and this is going to be a phenomenal matchup, and it's really the toughest one to even make a prediction for, because these guys dominate in the field of MMA when it goes to the ground. So we're talking about two dominant forces hitting each other. We know this fight is going to go to the ground, and it's just going to be all eyes on this matchup when it hits the floor. I mean, it's going to be very eye-popping. So now let's try to dissect this matchup by starting off with the fighter goals. And what does Ben Askren need to do to win this fight? And with much of the unknown out there about how these guys are going to respond to each other on the ground. But what we do know is that in no matter what situation, Ben Askren has got to be really clean and fluid with his combinations going into this fight. I mean, he can't just get a takedown straight off the bat, because we know Demian Maia will be ready to reverse it and take him into submission. So everything's got to be clean. His best bet is to pull him up against the fence, really get a feel for him and what he can and can't do. Take him down against the fence, try to take his back, and control him for each round using this process. And try to get a couple of combinations in to try and fool him, because he's going to have his head out there watching for that takedown. So in that effect, he really does need to have at least somewhat of a striking game to keep Demian Maia's head a little bit on the swivel. But if he keeps allowing to throw punches, and especially if he's trying to duck those punches, it can open him up for a takedown. Ben Askren missing the punch can, re-grab him on the other side of his body and start another takedown transition. But the biggest thing, once he gets Demian Maia on the ground, he has to get in a stable guard where really all his limbs are from Demian Maia's grasp. Because if Demian Maia gets a hold of one of his limbs, it is game over. He's going to keep transitioning, going from one submission to another until he rips off that limb. And Ben Askren cannot afford that. He has to use his strength and conditioning to constantly keep Demian Maia down, in effect in a very unhostile state where he cannot do anything with his submission game. So now that we know what Ben Askren needs to do, what does Demian Maia need to do? And the biggest thing, what Demian Maia needs to do, he needs to have a good striking game. If he has a good striking game, Ben Askren might come in and try to take him down, and he will be ready for it with the transition. So on the feet, he really needs to commit to those strikes of getting ahead in the judges' scorecard by constantly striking him in the face. Ben Askren, all he's thinking about is the takedown, and the punches he does throw are really not committed punches. His arms aren't made for striking. They're made for almost pure wrestling. So in effect, if you can stop the takedown or have it be a real risky and always be ready, hit him with punches, constantly get him down the scorecard, make him get desperate, and then in that desperation, he'll go for a loose takedown, and then you'll catch him on the way down and throw him into a head crank or rear naked choke to try and get him out. I think those lines are very clear, but it's so weird in this match because they have 5 rounds to do this, and now we have to go over the scenarios of what might happen in this fight of mostly unknowns, because we are going to really see to the degree who has the better ground game. So starting off in the first round, who's really going to set the pacing with the strikes? Nobody's going to get knocked out. Let's not be crazy here, but who's going to get off to that kind of pressing the action or the movement into those takedowns? And I think Ben Askren, the way he got knocked out, knowing Demian Maia's pedigree, he's going to really back off and try to feel this one out for the long term, knowing that, he's a control wrestler. And once he has somebody in his control, he can mostly every time predict what they're going to do. And I think he's wrestled against a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, so he's going to be looking out, especially against this one, who is one of the best to ever do it. And really, Demian Maia is going to be the one, I think, pressing the action he's going to be the one setting the pace to try and get up in the scorecards to make Ben Askren get desperate. And if I had to say, like, because this is so different, because there's almost going to be no striking involved at all. It's going to be all, wrestling up against the cage, gritty nature. It's going to be such a blessing to see that. And it's just, it's going to be awesome. And just the second and third round, like, it's a 5-round fight. We've never even seen this type of matchup in a 5-round fight. So it's so weird and not expected. You almost can't even give a prediction on it, because it could end in a second, or it could go on for a whole match of just wonders. So Ben Askren, if he's able to get a stable takedown rate, and really if Damian Maia is off, it really comes down to two things, okay? When Ben Askren takes Damian Maia down, if he can't catch him on the way down, if Ben Askren is able to find a sweet spot in the ground game and be able to keep himself safe and control Damian Maia while he's on the ground where he cannot give him a submission, then Ben Askren is going to win this fight. But the real question is that when he takes him down, if he can control him, how long can he do it before he mess up? And that's the real question about this fight. How long? Because we've seen him with other fighters, he can eventually get it. Especially against people who have to take him down, he can eventually get that lock in. And what he'll do, he'll put you in a compromising position. Then he'll kind of feel out what you're going to go next. Then he'll put you in another submission and another one. It'll never stop. And can Ben Askren, when he's under duress, get back and control the fight? And it's going to be a tough thing to do throughout 5 rounds, 25 minutes straight, to try and control this man in your atmosphere on the ground when all he does is counter you on the ground. And that's the reason why I predict Damian Maia will submit Ben Askren somewhere in the fight. I can't even give a round, because it could happen sooner, it could happen later. But I think after the feeling out process, I think it's going to happen somewhere in the 3rd or 4th round. I think Ben Askren is going to get desperate. He's going to get a little bit too picky, or not really picky, but too, liberal with his takedowns, and he's going to take him down one wrong time, and it's going to be the end of him. And if he has him on the ground, he won't be able to control him if he doesn't have a good guard against Damian Maia's, long limbs. And I think he will submit him in that fashion. Guys, this has been the best Gojira in UFC news. Please hit that subscribe button, also the notification bell, and in the description, join my Discord where you can continue to talk about MMA, wrestling, and even gaming, all going on in my Discord. Please join that. This has been the best Gojira in UFC news. Sign up, guys. See y'all later.